Okay guys, as I showed you before on the pattern drafting video, we have this Lutterloh system, and if you haven't seen it before, it's been established since 1935, and a 17-year-old woman came up with this golden rule technique, and it had to do with your foot being the length of from your wrist to your elbow, and the symmetrics of the body, like your finger being the size of your nose when you do it like that and stick it up to your nose. Anyway, all those things you've heard of before. Anyway, using that as a foundation, they developed this pattern system, and it uses a ruler, and you put a number, a pin on a dot in the paper, and then you take the ruler around and draw the numbers of the measurements at all the different points, and then you take a ruler and you connect 3 of those points at a time in the system. And anyway, as you do that, you come around, you have a pattern. The only thing they will tell you is the big variance is the length in things, but in my wife's case I had to extend them about 2 inches on the hemline, but everything else fit as far as the bust and all that. So the armholes, the neck, and all that fit. So let me take this out. It comes in this nice little binder. You have tape, you have pins for sticking in the pattern. You have a marking pin, the rubber band one around the tape. But what you do is you take one of these pins, and I photocopied the pattern off from the page. I'll show it to you. It was right there. So that was the whole page. It's pattern number 33 is what I copied off, and I just cut it out, and there's a front and back on it. Like here, there's a front and back. I did the front, then I did the back, put it on a piece of paper and drew it out, putting the peg in the holes on the ruler, and voila, we had a pattern. Let me show you the ruler here. And based on your size of either your bust or your hip, you'll use one of these numbers. So it goes from 50 all the way up to 140. And you put it in the hole to the next to the one that the number, they alternate red and black all the way up. Anyway, so on the pattern, you put the number in, and then you just kind of slide it around and find the measurement that you need, and voila, you have a pattern. But anyway, you can look it up on YouTube. There are so many people that have shown how to do this. You can find out there, but what I'm going to show you today is on this pattern. I'm going to show you how to sew it up, and you have to have a binder attachment for your machine, and the best one that I've found for home machines is a cover stitch one, and it's basically the one, it looks a lot like the one I'm going to be using on my industrial machine, but the difference is on the industrial machines, and I'll show you the one that's on mine, they come with the binder, they come with a foot, and they come with the feed dogs. And all that matches to get that binder as close as possible to the needle. And I'll show that to you. Let me show you the pattern here in the book. What we're going to be sewing is this shirt right here. It's number 33. Anyway, it's somewhat like a tank top. Is that it's got a big wide low neck, and anyway, so I sewed one up for my wife and she liked it, so I'm gonna sew another one up here and show you guys how it's put together. So let me get the camera set up over there by the machine and let me show you what the binder looks like that I'm going to be using, and we'll do that next. Okay, I'm over here on my industrial straight stitch machine, and I want to show you the binder. The difference between the binder on industrial machines and home machines, basically. When you buy a binder for an industrial machine, they come with a foot, they come with a new cover plate, and they come with new feed dogs. They're all modified, and on this one it's been modified to get this binder. You can see the edge of the foot comes out right here, and the binder is just about maybe 1/4 of an inch from the needle right there. So as soon as it comes out, it goes under the needle, and that makes it so much easier to do binding. And you get a little bit of a feel for it, but after that you can go as fast as you want, and it does fine. But anyway, this material I've got cut. This is a 40 millimeter binder that's 2.7 to 7.5 inches wide, and I've cut up a big old long strip of it, and I put it on this thread spool holder that Superior Thread sells, and it's about all I've got right now. I need to make something for this. I'm doing it so much, but anyway, it wraps up on here just fine, and it will come off, and it will sit back here behind the machine, and it will go this way, and this way, and then through there, and then out. So that's what we'll be using. We'll be using a cover stitch machine to do the hem. We'll be using a 4-thread serger to do the shoulder seams and the side seams, and so those will do our seams. It'll be quick and easy. I'll have another machine threaded with this purple thread just for doing something like before we serge the binding seams on the shoulders. It's hard to keep that together when it goes under the foot, so I will take that and I will baste it so it stays together, and that way when it goes under the foot it will stay together. Without doing that, especially like on those baby locks, the pressure on the foot is so forceful that it makes it harder to do those kind of things. I've got a 5-thread heavy-duty industrial serger, but no, not much of anyone has that. I don't want to use it. I'd rather just use a home serger and show people a technique for achieving, you know, the perfection that you need just by using that. So anyway, another machine basically like this that has thread and a normal feet and stuff on it to do that, and cover stitch and serger, and that's it. So let me get the machine, the serger threaded up, and I've got everything else ready to go, and we'll get on with it. Okay, the first step is to put right sides together and just serge one shoulder seam together. That's it. That'll leave it open so we can bind the other pieces. And this reminds me of why I love industrial machines. I had to put some fabric under this foot to keep this up here to get things lined up. I kept trying to get it lined up and it wouldn't line up. So if you're using these home machines, use your sewing foot to hold things for you. Alright, let's get this close. Right there. I don't really need to cut anything off on it. Here we go. And there's our seam. There we are. So I'll go ahead and press it real quickly, and we'll press it to the, let's see, we're going to press it to, which way is this, the front? Yeah, press it to the front. That's where it wants to lay naturally. And serge seams, when you start trying to press them the other way, they don't want to cooperate. Anyway, so next we will do the binding on the opening of, when you look at this, there's the back. Anyway, we have this armhole. Get the fabric around here. We have this armhole that we can bind. That's the neckline, in other words. And then this is the armhole that we can bind here. And once we do that, we will sew this side, right sides together, and then we will be able to bind this other side here. So it goes from this seam up to the shoulder seam and back down over here. So anyway, I'll show you that once we get to it, but first it's just this one shoulder seam, and then we'll start doing our binding. So let me get it pressed and we'll move over to the machine that does the binding and we'll get started with that. Okay, we're over here on the binding machine, and we're going to bind the neck that has the shoulder seam sewed up, and then the side that on the other side here, the armhole that has the shoulder seam sewed up. And after that we will serge the other shoulder seam together, and then we can do the other side at that point. So for now we're just going to do this, and just be careful that you don't start on your shoulder seam there. Now all I have to do is get it in this little groove right here and start sewing. And there it is, it looks good. Make sure everything back here is going okay, it looks good. My machine's set on a slower speed. I could speed it up, but this is fine. There we go. Okay, I'm about to go over the seam. I'm going to go ahead and pick it up. Seam went through fine. Get this up here where it doesn't hang off. And the key is just let it go in the fold. Don't let too much go in there. Don't pull it away where there's too little. It just basically needs to meet right there. And this will work great. Make sure I'm not stretching that. If it stretches a little bit, it'll press out. You just don't want it really getting in a bind anywhere, especially on this bias edge. It'll stretch like crazy with these knits. Oh, and by the way, I was looking at the attachment that I have for my home cover stitch machine, and it's this same binder. The attachment is a little bit different for getting it on the machine, but it's the exact same binder. So see if you can find one. There's one, I know Janome has one for their machine, and you can buy it. It's like $100, not cheap, but anyway, it works well on it. I've used it before. I just like this better. Alright, let's have a look and see what we've got. There's the start of it. As it comes around, everything's attached, and I didn't stretch it, so it's nice and flat. So that looks good. Okay, now we'll do this armhole. So let me find the end of it. Should be from there to there. All right. Try to honor the curve here. If you haven't heard that term before, it's what they use in the factories when they sew curves, is you don't want to try to straighten it up, you just want to leave it on the curve and feed it through the machine. You get a much better looking stitch when you do that. Okay, I'm going to bring this up. Still have plenty of binding left. It's still rolling off that spool nicely. Okay, let's see how we did on this one. Everything is attached so far, and we're attached all the way down there, so it looks good. Okay, now we'll need to sew this one together, and this one's the one where I need to cut these off, get them lined up with the seam. Like that. And this one lined up with the seam, so you just want to take your scissors straight from the seam and cut straight. Okay, then we will bring these right sides together, but I don't want to stick those under that serger foot just like that, because it'll end up pushing it like that. So I'm going to set up the other machine, and I'm going to do a basting stitch about right there, so that I can keep these together, and I'll go ahead and come all the way down and just baste it together first. So alright, let me do that. Let me get the machine set up. I'll show you how we do that, and then we will come back over here and we'll bind the other hole, and we'll be through with our binding. Okay, so we're at the other sewing machine. I want to tell you guys this is a Brother PQ 1500, and what I love about it is it uses the same feet and the same bobbin system as my commercial machine does. So I can share the feet and stuff and some of the attachments and stuff, although I tried to use the attachment for the binder on here and it wouldn't work. But otherwise, I just took the bobbin out over there and put it in here, and it's nice not to have to wind another bobbin. So that's why I like this machine. Alright, I'm going to kind of start in the middle here. This is the shoulder seam. We have right sides together, verifying that's the wrong side. Looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the hand wheel, penetrate the needle, back a little bit, come forward, then I'm just going to go ahead and baste this seam together. This stuff's all stretchy and stuff. I'm going to get everything lined up properly here. Here we go. And I stay kind of in the area where the serger will hit it, and if it happens to cut it, it won't quite cut it off. Okay, there we go. That seam is nice and even. Get rid of my threads here. Alright, now we'll be able to stick that under the serger foot, and I know that those seams will stay together. So that's the reason we based. Alright, let me get this machine off and move the serger back over here in the camera view, and we will serge that seam. Okay, we're back over at the serger. I've got the shoulder seam up here that we basted together, so I don't have to worry about it coming apart. I will trim just a tiny bit off of it when it goes through here. Seam out there. There's the bottom one. Everything's lined up. Looks good. Okay, here we go. I'm going to go ahead and turn the hand wheel on this. This is awful thick. See if it'll feed it. So always have to help it a little bit. When it starts cutting that, it pushes it back. One more good cut. One more. There we go. Alright, now let me get the foot kind of up and get this thing leveled out. Okay. Yeah, so tall there. Make sure it didn't break any thread. That was the foot coming back down. Always have to be careful on these sergers and home machines when it comes to this kind of stuff, because they can get in a bind in a hurry. Okay, there we go. Our seam is matched up nicely, and we are good to go. Okay, next thing we're going to do is sew this binding piece on this sleeve right here, this armhole opening, I guess I should say, but I need to press this seam first, so let me do that, and we'll go back over to the machine where we're doing the binding, and we'll do this. And then the only thing left after that is going to be, I need to come through here and do a stitch over this to lock this seam down. I'll take this and put this serged edge under the seam like that, fold it over, and then come sew over this right here. So anyway, we'll do that. Let me press it first though. We'll go over to the binding machine and get the binding done. Okay, we're back over here. We're going to do our binding on our opening on this side. So it's the armhole on the other side, so we just serge this seam. So let's go ahead and get this done. It's always good to use the scissors to get that in there, and then it will take off. I have everything here I need so it doesn't stretch. Okay, here's our curve again. We want to honor our curve. Getting a little bit more straight now. Going over the shoulder seam. And I'm trying to feed the fabric just a slight bit faster than what it wants to take it, so you'll see a little bubble there, and that'll keep it from stretching. So make sure that seam gets up in there. Perfect. Well, I didn't run out of binding at least. Cut enough this time. Usually I end up having to cut a little bit more. I'm actually going to have some left over. Okay, you're going to honor the curve again. And we're getting low on the binding, but we didn't run out, so that's good. Alright. This is where I'm going to want to tuck that serge seam under. And sew a seam joining that one there. Okay, we have those together. Now we'll have to serge this seam like we did the other one, so I'll go ahead and baste it before I serge it. Got that one. Got that one. Okay, right sides together. So it will go like that, and I'll get back on my machine and baste this Go ahead and base the whole seam. Makes it easier to serge, and it's just as quick putting pins or anything, wonder clips or any of that stuff in there. Okay, we're through with this machine, so I can take my bobbin out, use it on the other machine. Cut the thread. There we go. Yeah, I don't want to put that in there. I'll think I got something in there, so leave that out. Okay, let's head over to the other machine. Let's base this together. Let's do the stitch over this to get this seam to lay down and stay out of view. So we'll do that next. Okay, we're back over at the sewing machine. So I'm going to lock this binding area down again like I did the last time. Got to keep my eye on it. That last one wasn't absolutely perfectly lined up. Alright, there we go. A little bit further up this time. Let's just go ahead and base this seam so that when we serge it, we can just run it through there very quickly. And I stay fairly close to the edge. I feed the middle of the fabric on this outside foot here, or inside foot, right in the middle of it. And that gives me about 1/8 of an inch seam. Just keep my eye on that. Let's see here. See if these are going to line up. I made some adjustments to the pattern on the length. And yeah, it's going to line up perfectly, it looks like. Okay. Find my tweezers again. Okay, got them. I just use that to realign the fabric. Makes it so much easier. One of the things I like about this machine, it will fly just like my industrial machines do, so you can get stuff done quickly. Or you can go real slow with it. I'll show you what I mean. So if you want to take your time, just barely press the pedal and it will slow stitch at a time. Anyway, it's a great machine. I highly recommend it. It's only a straight stitch machine, but you can buy another $300 machine that has all the other stitches and stuff, buttonholes and all that to go along with it, and you'll spend 90% of your time on this machine. Sure these seams are perfectly lined up on the end. little threads off. Got the ones off up here at the top, the long ones, and yeah, that's perfectly aligned. That's the way I like to see it. Okay, now the only thing left to do is to sew this side up, just like we just did that one. And then we'll get the serger out, we'll zip down these two sides, and then we just have to hem it and we're done. So this comes together nicely. The binding part is the critical part, so anything you can do to get a machine that has the proper attachments, proper tools, I would highly recommend that, because otherwise you can get into a nightmare when it comes to the binding. I go all the way to the end to get a stitch down there, and obviously I go over it again, so okay. See if the end matches up again. Get the end together. This one's trying to come apart, so I stopped, get it lined back up. I'm so close to the edge I can't allow these to come apart in any way, so I've got to keep them lined up nicely. There we go. Yeah, I don't know if you can see how close to the edge I am there. So that's kind of the best way to baste, but if you get a machine that's quick like this one is, you can sew them up fast. When I'm not filming and talking and stuff like that, I sew a whole lot faster than what I do when I'm filming, so because I have to be able to talk over the machine sometimes. Okay. We're done with this machine for now. I'll bring the serger back over and we'll serge up the two side seams, and then we'll move over to the cover stitch machine. So I need to get that one over here and get it threaded with purple thread too, so we can do the cover stitch. Okay guys, I got a little ahead of myself. I'm going to show you on this seam here what we're going to do on the rest of the seams. So what I did, I took that serger thread, pulled it over here, put it under the foot, put a few stitches in it to hold it down, and now it's going to be pushed down this way, and we're going to come down this seam right here and sew over this to keep that held down into place. So we're just going to follow the stitch that was on here from the binding. And just sew over that seam. Get it lined up here. you'll be able to see this thread because it's brighter than the serger thread. I mean, than the other thread was. Alright. Go ahead and get that trimmed off. Better scissors. Don't want that sticking out. And it's got stitches over it, so it'll stay. So we just stitched, hope you can see it under the light. Get the tweezers. We just came right across here, and that will hold that seam in place nicely. See how flat it is? That's what we want to be able to do. That way when you wash it or anything, someone irons it, it won't end up trying to flop back, and it'll stay put the way it is. Anyway, that keeps it down. Should stay comfortable. See if we got any more threads there wanting to pop out. Nope. Okay. Anyway, so that's how it looks from the outside. I'll be doing that. I don't have to do it on this one because this one was bound. These aren't going to be bound, so I'll be doing the same thing on these. Once I get this serged edge on, I'll be doing the exact same thing. And then we can hem it. So we'll be hemming next. I went ahead and did a quick press on it. This fabric still has fold marks in it from being wadded up in my stash. So, okay, let me get the serger over here and we'll serge those side seams, and then we'll move on to hemming it. Okay, we're back at the serger. We're going to go down the side seams now. We got these basted together so they'll stay in place once we sew them. Once again, I'm going to turn the hand wheel and try to feed this little area right here through the cutter, and it takes a little bit of work because it doesn't want to go because it's so big. So yeah, I should have the video camera around here showing you what's going on. What happens, that knife comes down when it cuts the fabric, it tries to push it back this way. So it'll end up just feeding, going back and forth and not feeding through. So you have to kind of turn the hand wheel to cut that big seam. On my industrial heavy duty serger, the knife is so tall and big that on these kind of things it just goes right over them and it keeps going on. So make sure my foot is down just about there. Oh, come on, cut it. So I can get a hold of the side of the seam here, pull it forward. There we go. Alright, now we got to go over that seam. The other thing that makes it hard to cut it is the foot's not down low enough to hold the fabric. So it's over here just kind of chewing it up, fraying it. And I don't want to step on the pedal because it may break a needle. And as you can see, it's not feeding. So let me push it forward, do a stitch, let it cut, push it forward, do a stitch, let it cut. Okay, now it's under the foot, so it's feeding finally. Yeah, there's a hard one that would have broken the needles. Yeah, see it kind of missed right there. So maybe I just need to use my industrial surgeon. I'll fix it. I'll just use the other machine, put a straight stitch over it to lock it down. Since this knit is so stretchy, I'm cutting about that much off the side seam. Alright. And I'll have to fix that. I wonder if I turn it around this way if it can pull it through. Raise the foot up, good Lord. Really tough right there. Alright, pull it. That did better. I'll sew that down to make sure it doesn't come out, and I'll sew this one down also to make sure it doesn't come out. Trim those little threads. Little clippers are about gone. I need to get a new pair. Because normally they'll trim stuff like that up. Okay. That's better. At least locked it down on the edge. So if I have another one to do, let's see, I think nope, I gotta do this one. So I'm gonna do this one from the bottom to the top. So we're gonna sew from the bottom down here up to the top and see if it handles it better. It'll make it easier if it does. Alright, here we go. This thing's really bouncing. Put it on this pad trying to keep it from doing that, but it's still bouncing all over the place. Seems to look good. Yes, it does. Alright. I have to push that through. There we go. Yeah. Come on. pull on the fabric to get it to feed through. Pressure on the foot is so hard and heavy that it won't come through. Alright. Yeah, it kind of moved the seam a little bit, which I'm not happy about, but oh well, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but you can see there how that one's a little bit lower than that. I just don't care for that, but anyway, it's on the underarm, so it won't be noticed. I'll go ahead and cut that off to line that up. Okay, I'll take my sewing machine now and lock those stitches down. Alright, so we've got them serged up, and I'm going to go ahead and run the sewing machine over these ends of these serge seams to keep them from coming loose. That way I can trim them, and then we will do the hem. So I'm not going to do that on camera, but it's just a matter of, I've got a video on my channel showing how to secure serger seams by just coming here and sewing back and forth a couple of stitches, and it keeps them from coming off. So okay, let me get the other machine over here and get that done, and then get a cover stitch machine threaded, and we will do the hem. Okay, I figure I'd fire up the camera just to show you how I secure the serger thread at the end before I cut it off. So I just get it just a little bit before the end of the seam. Set my stitch length at 2, and then I just sew over those serger threads. Just kind of go back and forth. And that's all I've done is gone back and forth there. And so now I can cut the serger thread off. Let me get my threads here. Got it stuck to my hand. Anyway, so now I can come down here and cut this off, and I don't have to worry about it fraying. Get my thread tails off there, and I do that on all the end serge seams. I've already done these and done this one, and I haven't done this one, so I've got to do this end one down here, and I'll be done with that. Then we can do our hemming. And I try to go down it here and then back up there and back down there to lock it down good. The last thing I want is anything I sew up in the laundry a year from now coming undone. Alright, got that taken care of. So let me get the cover stitch machine stitched once again, and we'll hem it. Promise. Okay, we're over here on my industrial cover stitch machine. The needles are just a little bit wider than a domestic machine's. So anytime I'm doing a wide hem, I go ahead and baste it very loosely, and it doesn't matter if I'm always on, like right there I missed it, but it gives me a guideline to split my needles when I'm sewing. And even though I've got a tape mark out here, this actually is a better visual. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started here. Let me get Where'd my scissors go? And make sure that thread's not under there. Let me find my little scissors that will go under there. There we go. Let's see if it's the foot or what it is. It's allowing the fabric to go under. It's the thread. So let me get it cleared out. There we go. Okay, now all I have to do is just split the white mark. So I'll keep the white mark lined up in the middle where the hole is for the middle needle on this, and I should be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the hand wheel for the first couple of stitches to get me going. Alright. Here we go. I'm going to go fairly slow here to keep this lined up. Okay, looks good. We're right on the edge, splitting the stitch. That's what we want to do. This just saves a lot of time. It comes out perfect every time when I do this. Kind of stabilizes the fabric too. Because when you get these big hem lines like this stuff can get kind of wildly. Make sure everything still looks good. It does. About to go over the next side seams. We're almost halfway done. Got some wide ones here that I'm going to go ahead and clip out. I don't want the needle to catch them. It's okay if they go straight up like these, but these that get wider. They won't stand up. Let me clip it. There we go. Almost went over that one, barely missed it. Okay, here we go. Getting close to the end. cut my top threads so they can line up with it. Okay, here we go. Little pieces of fuzz. Okay, I need to go right over my other stitches. Just a couple and that will do it. Alright, raise the foot, pull some thread out here so I can pull it from the needles. Oh, that one already broke. At least I'll leave this one longer. Pull it through, come on. Okay, there we go. Alright, I'm going to remove the basting stitches. I'm going to tie these back threads off when I do that and press it, and then we'll have a look at it. But anyway, that's a tip for you when you're trying to do these hems that can be a little bit tricky, is just use basting tape or a basting stitch to keep yourself lined up, and take that stitch right down the middle of the needles and your hem will come out perfect. Alright, let me do that and we'll have a look at it. Okay, here it is. Get it pressed. There's the binding on the armholes and the neck. And there's our cover stitch. Comes out perfect every time. Just covers the edge. So try the basting sometime. You do a cover stitch and see what the results are. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's it for the sew along. I was trying to remember, I think I bought that Luther's all book in 2015 or 16, and then I've got a newer one I bought in like 2022. It's got completely different stuff in it, but I'll try to see if I can find it and post it in the description later. But anyway, that's how it looks in the end. So came out pretty good. Alright guys, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions at all. Again, be sure and comment on the video as to what you think about it and stuff, good or bad, either way, and we'll go from there. Take care of yourselves.